Welcome everybody to our second installment in this webinar series for third-party integrations and third-party services. Today on our second installment, we're gonna go over how to enhance your marketing with SendGrid. SendGrid is a service that allows you to make transactional emails from your website. But another thing on top of that to highlight is that SendGrid isn't the only service that you can integrate with Corvid by Wix. There's plenty of different services across the web when you're using NPM modules or Wix Fetch as well. So if you do have another transactional email service that you're using, the concept is about the same. You just kind of have to follow what's inside the documentation, but we're going to be going over a lot of how the process is of how to connect the third-party service to enhance your marketing. Cool. And Meredith just posted the dev post contest that we have going on right now as well in the chat, so definitely check that out. So a little bit about myself. If you were here the last webinar, I was in the chat helping out, answering any questions that you had about Corvid and integrating with your favorite payment services. So my name is Joshua Alphonse. I'm a full stack developer. I'm also a music producer, and I am also a developer advocate for Corvid by Wix here in New York. So, you know, when things go back to normal, I guess, and there's some events going on in New York, you'll definitely see me at some meetups and tech events as well. We also have in the chat Meredith Hassett, who's our other developer advocate. She did on Monday's webinar for Stripe, and I'll let her introduce herself again.
Hi all, good to be back. For those of you who weren't here on Tuesday, my name is Meredith Hassett. I'm also developer advocate for Corvid by Wix, based in the San Francisco Bay Area. I am a fast talker. If you guys were here on Tuesday, you know that as well. I am a front-end developer by trade. I love doing integration, so it was really fun for me to do Stripe on Tuesday, and I'll be back with Twilio on Monday, which I'm super excited about. So definitely, if you're interested in how you can incorporate text messages, come back for that on Monday.
Awesome. Thanks, Meredith. So just a reminder again, she'll be in the chat, and definitely on the next part of the series of these webinars, she'll be there on Monday to go over Twilio as well. So, you know, all these integrations that we have can combine together to enhance all your marketing, enhance, you know, communication with your users and customers that you have on your website that you're building. So it's just a whole all-in-one suite that we're going to be building with these integrations. Okay. So about this series, we did payments with Stripe. Now we're going to go over email marketing with SendGrid. So today we're going to cover using the SendGrid NPM module. We're going to create backend functions again. All right, so these backend functions are going to help us connect to the NPM module, and we'll be able to create a function that will communicate with the SendGrid API as well. We're going to learn a bit about the secrets manager and how to securely place your API keys within the dashboard, so you don't have to have it inside your code. We're also going to see how to import your backend functions that you created and then put them into your front end so that you can use different UI elements to connect to these functions that you created. We'll also have some time for Q&A at the end as well. But don't forget, you can also ask questions in the chat. So we're going back to Funded Labs. And Funded Labs is a project that we created. And it's sort of like a Kickstarter in a sense, right? So last webinar, we went over how to make these payments to fund this project and to give a pledge to it. Now we're going to be able to give our pledger an email saying, thank you for pledging this amount to this project. Thanks for backing it up. And we're going to be able to reach them automatically once they go and populate these text fields using the SendGrid API and NPM module. So in order to get started, remember when you're using Corvid in the editor, you want to enable Dev Mode. Dev Mode gives you all the features that are packed with Corvid. So you can start to add your own custom code, integrated databases, and also connect to all your business APIs that are built in and external ones like we're doing today. So like I mentioned, you know, you have the built-in IDE. Corvid also allows you to create an API for yourself with HTTP functions. There'll be a recording. Yes, there will be a recording. Dynamic pages you can create as well, so you don't have to go and recreate a template for what you're making. And then you also have those integrated marketing tools that are built in. So Corvid is our accelerated web development platform that works on top of Wix in the editor. And it gives you the ability to code JavaScript and also connected to the UI elements that you're dragging and dropping on the page. So it's enhancing your entire experience when it comes to developing a website with Wix. It's serverless and it uses Node.js. It requires zero setup. It has production grade you can create production grade applications, and everything is built in. It's an all-in-one suite. So, previously we had a webinar based on Corvid being our full stack utility belt. So that's the kind of the way I like to think about it. So let's go over SendGrid a little bit, all right? So SendGrid is an API that allows you to send reliable emails to strengthen your communication with your customers and your visitors on your website. So there's plenty of different functionalities that you can use SendGrid with when it comes to your website, and it doesn't have to just be for the purpose that we're going to be going over today, right? So SendGrid allows you to send transactional emails. So if something's happening like what we're doing today with a transactional email saying, thank you for making the pledge to this product on our Kickstarter on Funded Labs, we'll be able to receive that email. You can also use SendGrid to send account creation emails. So all those emails you get once you make an account on the website. If you want to send emails after you purchase something, you can also set different triggers with code and purchase and send those emails for the receipt of that item to the user using SendGrid. You'll also be able to send account notification emails as well. So whenever certain things and events are triggered on your page that you code, you'll be able to send emails straight to your users with SendGrid. So there's plenty of different options that you have when you're building these applications with this NPM module and API. So I encourage you to explore all those different options. But today we're going to show you how to get started with a transactional email. So remember, we have the $W API, which helps you select and returns elements from the page. So we're going to be going inside of our $W on ready function here, and this side code on the side, and we're going to be selecting a text input field, and then we're going to capture the value that we're typing inside that text field as well, and then also giving the button the ability to make sure the transaction goes through when we pay for this pledge. Right, so we went over that a little bit on Monday as well, so we're going to touch base on that again today. So remember, when you're getting and setting values with these UI elements on the page for text inputs, you want to make sure that you give it a variable, and then you have it equal to whatever the text input box is named. So in this case, let's say the ID is text input, and then you use the .value property, and you can set the value to whatever's being typed in the box, or to another value that you have written in a string somewhere on your IDE. So one of the Wix APIs that we're going to be working with here is the Wix Window API. So this Wix Window API is going to bring up a modal of our username, the email that we're using to type into, send money to this pledge. And then also what we're going to be doing is using the Wix secrets backend API as well to store API key. So there's a few other options we're going to go through of all these APIs we're going to use to get our pledge started. So the Wix Window API has another property called Open Lightbox, and our page for our Lightbox is named Thank You. But we're going to be using the data object so we can send the email that our user is using for this pledge, so that it populates onto our modal that pops up when we're using a Lightbox. And just a reminder as well, we have an API reference that's very detailed, and it comes with code snippets and examples for you to follow. So it's really intuitive. It has lots of examples that are there that you can go for and use for each UI element, all of our APIs that are available with Corvid. And anytime something is updated, the API reference will be updated. You'll be able to check the website for what other updates are happening with Corvid as well. And if you want to check out the SendGrid API reference, make sure you go and check out on their website. The link is right here. You can also just go on their website and go to Email API. So without further ado, let's get started and let's start building out Funded Labs to integrate with SendGrid. So let me just go and change our screen here. Cool. All right, so we're back at Funded Labs now. And our Funded Labs is sort of like a Kickstarter in a way, right? And what we have here is some Bamboo eco-friendly products that you can be a conscious consumer and purchase here and actually send a pledged amount so that you can back this project. Cool. So on Monday, we went over Stripe. We created a backend file and some functions in order to work with the API. And today we're going to do a similar thing with SendGrid as well. So we're going to go here to our fill in your details page, because that's the page you're going to be mainly coding out of today, right? And it comes already here with some populated fields. So if you remember from Monday, we actually worked through some of these fields here. So we worked on the payment for cards, the month, the year, the CV as well. And these are all using the .value property I spoke about with the text input box. And we're going to be using this again. But first, we're going to start from the back end, and we're going to create these functions so that we can get the SendGrid API up and going. All right. So before we start typing any code out, you want to make sure that we install our SendGrid NPM module, right? So we just go over here to NPM modules, and we see the blue cog that's here on the side, and we go to install new packages, right? So you want to make sure that you're checking out the correct NPM package, because some of them are deprecated. Right. So the one that's currently official for SendGrid is @SendGrid/mail, right? So currently we already have it installed. And if you want to go check out any of the documentation or any information about the NPM module, you just go right here to these 3 dots and you go to see documentation. And this will bring you straight to NPM's page that they have for this package. And you'll see all the documentation that comes along with it, as well as access to their GitHub. Cool. So after we've installed our SendGrid API, we're going to go and create a backend web module here. And we're going to name it SendGrid. Cool. So the first thing that we want to make sure that we do is import SendGrid into our backend file here. So a good thing about looking at the documentation from SendGrid, you'll see what to import. So in this case, we're going to be importing sgmail, and we're going to say from @SendGrid/mail, since that's the NPM module that we are accessing here. So we're going to import that right at the top of our code. And we're going to make sure that all of our import statements here are at the top of our code. Next, we're going to import the secrets manager backend API. All right, so we're going to import get secret from Wix secrets backend. So what the secrets manager allows you to do, it allows you to add an extra layer of security for your API keys that you have. So, before the secrets manager, you can store these API keys in a variable somewhere in the back end, right? And your users won't be able to access it. But, we've also added this extra layer of security that you can have from the dashboard, just so that you actually just call a variable and it won't be written on the code on your page. So I'll show you what I mean. You go here to dashboard, settings, secrets manager. Great. So now this is where you can go and start to store a secret. I already have some secrets that are already here. So we're going to be using SendGrid_API. So you can just go and paste your API key into the secrets manager by clicking store secret. It gives you all the fields to populate here, the name, whatever you want to name it, so how you're going to call it in the code, the value, and then the description if you'd like. But we're going to go back to our site. Just let it load real quick. Great. So we're back on our site, and we're going to start coding out. All right. So also don't forget, if you do have any questions, Meredith is in the chat, and she can help you out as well. And we'll have some Q&A at the end. All right, awesome. So now that we've imported the secrets manager, we're going to start by creating an export async function so that we can send the email, and so it's going to accept the proper arguments that the documentation from SendGrid told us to put. All right, so we're going to say export async function send email. All right, so that's what we're going to be calling this function, send email. And in the front end, when we import, send email is what we're going to be importing from our backend. So when we're using SendGrid, we want to make sure that we use the correct arguments that the API is accepting. Right? So when we're sending an email, we like to have the recipient. So we have our recipient. Okay. We also have our subject for the email. Then there's also someone that sends the email. And then lastly, we have the body or the text of the email. Cool. Awesome. So now that we have these arguments already set in place, let's start to use our Wix Secrets Manager API right now. So we're going to create a constant here, a variable for the API key. So we say API key equals. And we're going to set this with, since we have this as an async function, we're going to use await. And it's great that we have all these fillers in here inside of our IDEs to help us out as we're coding as well. And what we're going to use is we're going to use the get secret function here. And what we're going to do is we're going to give it a API key from our secrets manager that we just stored, right? So in this case, we have SendGrid _ API, right? So that's the name of the secret that we just stored in our backend. Awesome. So now we're going to use email. Okay. And we're going to say dot set API, let's say API key. All right. And then we're going to give it the API key that we have. So let's give that argument there. Awesome. Next, we're going to create a constant for the message that we are going to be sending, right? So what we have to do next is say const message, right? And then we can say equals, yeah, let's create that constant. And we're going to say to our recipient, okay, from our sender. All right. And we're going to say our subject is the subject, what's being typed. And then we're going to say, let's say text is going to be the body. Awesome. Cool. So now these are all the arguments that we have that are placed at the top of our code there. And we're going to then now return html. And we're going to say .send, since this is from our SendGrid NPM module API. And then since what we're sending is inside of this constant here for the message, right? So say msg. Awesome. Right, so like using the SendGrid API and the NPM module is pretty straightforward as long as you follow the documentation that they have on their page. And it translates really well because at the end of the day, it's just JavaScript. When you're using this with Corvid, you know, some things might look different with the $W API, but at the end of the day, that's just to select elements and then you give it functionality. All right, so now we're feeding this html.send, what we have here in the constant. Great. So now let's go and check out our front end. So our front end here, we want to make sure that we import send email, because remember, that's the name of the function we have. So we're going to be importing send email. And we're going to say backend / SendGrid, since it's in our backend folder here. And we still have all of our functions from Stripe, that's right here underneath here inside of our $W onReady function. And what we're going to do is actually call the send email function from the backend to our front so that we can collect those values that we're going to be filling out. All right. So again, like I created another constant here just so that since this is a transactional email that I want to send a message automatically that's already pre-written instead of the user sending me a message, I could say, hey, let's have the subject be thank you for the pledge. So in the email, though, that's be their subject. The recipient is going to be the recipient right here is going to be to me or to any email. You can also set this to the value of the user. So in this case, we have something like user email as well that you could use. And we have the body. So this is what the user will be getting. All right. So let's go over here to our preview mode. And let's fill out some information. So let's say my name is Joshua. And let's say email is josh.fonz@gmail.com. And my number is, let's say 631-491-8435. And our address could be 23 Main Street, New York. So let's say New York. I think it says 1222. That's like, I think that's Albany, New York though. But we can actually go and paste this here. And let's go and put our card information from the last webinar that we had. So we say 1, 2, and we're going to give this, say 9. Then we're going to give the years, it's 20. All right. So then we're going to press pay. Awesome. All right. So now we just paid for our pledge here. We have this modal here that's showing our email address and saying, thank you, Josh Alphonse from Gmail for supporting our project. Look for delivery updates and via email or SMS, right? So now if I go look at my email, since I use the variable here, I'll show you. Since I have user email, all right? So I accepted the user email here, all right? So I have user email for whatever the value is. So that's how we're able to capture that. So now if I do go over to my email, and I'll show you. So let me go here, and we're gonna go to show toolbar. And we'll go over to our email address so we can go and see if we got our email from SendGrid. And look at that. So this came from, Google thinks that it's spam, but it's really not. So let's see. So you can go and customize your email any other way you want. This is in more of a simplistic way that you can do this. So we have here our subject that we wrote. Thanks for the pledge. Thank you for supporting our product. We will update you when it's ready to ship. So all the text that we populated from our values inside of our editor as well are all there. So now let's go back to our website. And let's go getting rid of the toolbar here, top. So now we're back here. So you might be wondering real quick before we wrap things up, how we were able to get the email on that Lightbox as well. We created a data object. And you can also, we use here our data object to actually grab the email address that's here. So on success, when the email works, we actually use whatever email was typed inside of the name box, the email box here. Because we set this variable equal to the value that was written. So now that we have that data object, we go here to our Lightbox. All right, and make sure you use lightbox.getContent because that's how you're able to receive that data from the data object you created. All right, and once you receive that, you'll actually be able to go and make different text that's in the box here. So I set the text here equal to the value of thank you, and then I added the email and concatenated those things together. So there's a lot of different ways that you combine the internal Wix tools with these integrations as well. So also keep that in mind. Awesome. So I'm going to go right back to the slides. Cool. So we just covered a bunch of different things when it comes to integrating services to enhance your marketing capabilities when it comes to using Corvid by Wix, right? So we started to use the SendGrid NPM module. We created backend functions so that we can connect to the API with NPM modules. And then on top of that, we also sent this message to our user. We were able to hide our API key and securely put it inside of our dashboard using the secrets manager. And then we also used backend functions and imported them to the front end so we can actually work with those from a visual aspect. Thank you all for coming today to our webinar on third-party integrations with SendGrid. Just remember that you can integrate a lot of different tools when it comes to Corvid by Wix. So it's not just SendGrid for email marketing. There's a whole lot of other tools you can use as well. But this is one of our most popular ones, and you can dive in and use it just the way we use it today. Also, make sure to find us on Reddit. So you can find our subreddit as Corvid by Wix. We're also on Stack Overflow if you need any questions or help, or if you want to pose a question or help the community itself. You can go there by using the tag Corvid. And feel free to reach out to Meredith and I on our LinkedIns and our Twitters that are listed right here in our slides. So thanks again for coming today, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day.